Alright guys, so obviously I am absent today, not something that I intended to be, but unfortunately, I forgot that I had a doctor's appointment, so I apologize for that. So here's me trying to do a review video for you. Some of the important concepts that I think you guys should know. Recognize, number one on the study guide, just be able to identify what is and what is not an inequality. Remember that even if there's no math operations, this would still be considered an inequality. So this is an equation, inequality, expression, because there's math operations, equation, inequality, expression. Again, an inequality, even if there's no math operations, it doesn't matter because it is a true inequality statement. If it wasn't true, then it wouldn't be an inequality. Expression and inequality. So you need to know how to label them. You will see questions labeling which ones are which. You will see questions like that on your test coming up shortly. In terms of translating, just to translate each into a mathematical inequality, some things to remember, I would suggest you again circle the is, and then you realize is at most. Is at most, don't be hasty. A lot of guys see is at most and you do that right away. That's not correct. Is at most means the most it could be, so it's is less than or equal to 4. Don't fall into that trap. Is at most means the most it could be, so it's equal to or less than. Is at most is not that. That's different than is greater than. Is greater than is greater than. Is greater than the square root of 9. Remember, square root and squaring are different. So 8 less than a number, this is just 8 less than. 8 less than a number. Remember, less than different than is less than. This one, difference of twice a number and 7. The difference of twice a number and 7 is at most 4. Here's another one, is, but it's is at least. So don't do that. Don't be hasty and do that. Is at least means it's at least that. So it's greater than or equal to at least. Because it could be bigger, but at a minimum it's equal to. Is at least 30. The sum, which is addition, the sum of a number squared, so k squared and 1. Remember, squared and square root are different things. The word quotient means divide. Don't do quotient and think it means multiply. Quotient means divide. Modeling. Now, modeling is something we didn't do a whole lot of time on, so you might want to focus in as I talk about this. We did a little bit with modeling. We haven't really modeled if it's negative. Now, it's not that much difficult. We just need to make sure we make a key, and that's the important thing. So when we make our key, I would probably make my r equal to a long rectangle. A little bit different though, now we're going to introduce negative r's. Negative r's would be the filled in version, just like a positive 1 is maybe just a regular square, and a negative 1 is a filled in square. So it says 3 r's, and then a negative 2, that means 2 of these guys, filled in. And you could just do is greater than, yes, you could just do is greater than negative 4. 4 of the negative guys. Just like with equations, we put an equal sign. With an inequality, you could put that. Nothing really complicated. I know on the study guide, it kind of makes it look tilted because this side's heavier, so it's tilted. You don't have to do that. Again, going down to this one, I'm going to model this guy, but let me make my key. A W, since I'm looking for W's, is a big long rectangle, but a negative W, which I am going to use because I have 3 negative W's, is a big long rectangle with filled in. Still, a 1 is an open square and a negative 1 is a filled in square. So I have 3 negative W's. That's 1, 2, 3 negative W's plus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is less than or equal to 2 positives. So now you probably want some practice with it, so let me do a quick problem for you. If you have some paper to work with right now, I'll stall while you're getting out some paper. How about you guys model, let's do the same, well, you're going to have to make a key. So how about we do negative 2g plus 1 is less than negative 3. That'll give you guys some time to make a key. Again, your key should look something like this. Give you guys some time to make a key. This time we're talking about G though, so I'll give you guys a little bit of time to make your key and then try to model it very quickly. at minimum right now, you should have your key done. G is a big long rectangle. Negative G would be a filled in rectangle. That's a G, that's a negative G. Our positive 1 will do a square, and a negative 1 will do a filled in square. So at minimum, you should have your key. I'll give you a little more time to work on your modeling if you need to fix your key. All right, so this is negative 2G. Do not do this. This is two filled in things with a G. Don't do that. That's, again, G plus a negative 2. That's not negative 2G. If I want to do negative 2G, it's 2 negative G's plus 1, so don't put a plus sign, is less than 3 negative guys. So it would look like that. That's modeling. You will see a question like modeling on the test. That's why I just spent some time doing it. So if you need to pause the video at this point, take another quick look. You will see modeling on the test. In terms of solving and graphing, I'm not going to go over this too much. I am going to remind you, though, to split it down the middle, undo on both sides. Make sure you know how to work with integers. Here's an example where you need to know how to work with integers. You want to do subtraction with addition, plus 15, plus 15. We have D. They fight. The positives win by 5. Some things to remember. Make sure you circle your answer. You got to circle your answer. Another thing, don't leave this spot blank. If it was an inequality symbol, you can't leave it blank. I need to have something there. Another thing, don't put an equal sign. It's not magically turning from an inequality to an equal sign. Make sure you're putting the correct sign. Don't put nothing, and don't put the wrong symbol. So what symbol goes here? In this case, it's an is greater than symbol. It does not flip. It's a very rare case when it flips. It only flips when you multiply or divide by a negative. So we're going to graph. Open circle because there's no line underneath. We're graphing the variable D. D is on the big side, and the big numbers are always to the right. Let's do 3 and 4 very quickly. Split down the middle. Someone multiplied by negative 3, not added 3. How do you multiply by negative 3? Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. I get F. That's negative 7. And again, don't put an equal sign. It's not an equal sign. And it's also not this symbol anymore because I divided by a negative. So since I divided by a negative, my inequality symbol flips. Circle your answer. It's a closed circle at 7 because of the line underneath. And F is on the big side now. It wasn't the small side, but now it's on the big side. So I'm going to shade to the right. Number 4. Split it down the middle. So when divided by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. I get W, negative 6. Again, make sure you circle your answer. And don't just put an equal sign. It's not an equation. Don't put nothing. Got to put something. And in this case, does this symbol flip? The answer is no. It does not flip because I multiplied by a positive. If I had multiplied by a negative, it would have flipped. But I multiplied by a positive. So this symbol doesn't flip. This negative was already there. Go to negative 6. It's filled in because there's a line underneath. Again, W is on the big side, and I can shade to the big numbers, which is to the right. Writing the inequality, these guys should be easy. It's either open or closed, so we can tell if it's filled in or not filled in. Here's an example. Well, we know the number is negative 6, right? Choose your variable, whatever, it doesn't matter. We know it's filled in, so there's a line underneath. And let's see, it's going to the left, that means K is on the small side. I mean, you technically could do this. It's the same thing. K is on the small side, negative 6 is my number. Again, let's choose a variable, G. It's open, so there's no line underneath. My number is 3. And it's going to the right, so that means it's the variables on the big side, so that G is bigger than 3. These should be very easy ones for you to do. And then the last thing I'll very briefly talk about, just as a reminder, is to create, solve, and graph inequalities. So make sure you create it, you solve it, and then graph it. Don't skip any steps. Show your work. Here's an example. But I want to focus on this question down here. It says, are there any values that don't make sense? Well, if we're talking about speed, can you have negative speed? So if we talked about this yesterday, you could have negative money, you could have negative temperature, but you can't have negative speed. So if I'm doing at most, so the sum of my total speed and 3 is at most 5. Remember, is at most is less than or equal to. Don't say, oh, most, and then do that symbol. That would be incorrect. Don't be hasty. Think. Minus 3 minus 3. S is less than or equal to 2. If I go to 2, and then go down, that means the turtle speed could be 2, 1, 0. My turtle speed could be -1. My turtle speed could be -2. It doesn't really make sense. So you can't actually have it go forever. You can go to here, and it can go down to 0. Now, can my turtle speed be 0? Yeah, so I'm going to fill this in. If you believe that the turtle speed could not be 0, you would go up to 0 but have an open circle. In this case, I believe the turtle speed could be 0, so that's filled in on both sides. This would indicate all the numbers from 0 to 2, where 0 and 2 are included. Sometimes you don't have arrows in real world situations. Take your time on the test. Go slowly. After you're done, you're working on Alex. If you don't know your number, well, you're going to have to sit quietly and read because you should know your number. If you don't know, if you start going on other sites, I will not be happy. Make sure you are staying focused. Your homework is to work on Alex, so if you're done, you're working on Alex. Make sure I get a good report and behave yourselves.